Okay, we are recording. So, never have I ever been handcuffed for no reason. Never have I ever had a canine unit search me. Never have I ever been chased by a police officer.
I have to think about that one.
Never have I ever gave a fake name out of fear of a dirty record. Never have I ever walked into a store and watched people hold their purses tighter.
Oh.
Doesn't then it's down if you have. Okay. Oh, he's just okay. Never have I ever walked past a car and people locked the doors. Never have I ever been maced by a police officer. Never have I ever been followed by a police officer, then questioned on where I was going. Never have I ever had a moment of mistaken identity with a police officer. Let's see. Never have I ever been insulted by a police officer. You're not sure, Mom?
Well, the other two fingers don't want to stay up, and I've been insulted a lot, so.
Undercover count?
Huh?
Undercover count?
Yeah. Police is police, Diana.
Never have I ever had a conversation with an officer who did not have a gun, who did not have their hand on their gun.
Repeat that one.
Never have I ever had a conversation with a police officer with their hand on their gun.
Here.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is round one. If everyone can put their hands where they can be seen. Okay. James.
James.
Okay. This is round two. So
fresh new set of hands, or you keep the same?
Fresh set.
fresh set.
All right.
Oh, fresh.
You comfortable?
I'm falling out of my chair over here.
Oh, okay.
On the floor. I probably should have fell on the floor.
Never have I ever been in a racially charged conversation. Never have I ever walked into a different neighborhood and had no one ask me if I belong there. Never have I ever been accused or implied that I am a drug child. Never have I ever been told by a person, wait, let me read this one up. Never have I ever had to explain my upbringing to a Caucasian person. Never have I ever felt uncomfortable in my skin in a room full of people. Never have I ever felt as if I could not go to the police. Never have I ever, oh, my phone froze, sorry. Never have I ever needed to explain racial discrimination to another person. Never have I ever have been called the N-word by someone of a different ethnicity. Never have I ever been belittled because of my race. Never have I ever been into a sundown town, which is, can someone explain? I'm a little parched. What a sundown town is?
That's when you're in an area that you know, or you've been told, or you should not be in when the sun goes down.
When the sun goes down.
Yeah. You need to be out there. You probably shouldn't have been there when the sun was up, but when the sun goes down, and they will tell you to leave.
Maybe I have. I think I have. Even though.
Only a southern state.
Last one. This is the last one. Never have I ever felt like, never have I ever felt that I needed to justify Black Lives Matter. When you have
Wait,
that,
what?
when you need to justify why Black Lives Matter.
Unfortunately, I've had that conversation. So
Hands up. Look at you guys, got some experience on here. Well-rounded people. This was not to offend or point out anything. It's a learning experiment and a social experiment. I have to say that because I'm putting it on the internet.
hopefully people can learn from this. I hope. I love you.
Love you too, Sierra.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had to take my other phone off because it overheated.
Okay, that's what
I wonder if mine is. Mahalia, after this video, you should totally go elbow drop James for being on the Xbox or PlayStation or whatever.
You should do it while you're recording so you have evidence he didn't participate as to why he got elbow punched. This is what happens when you don't participate, guys. You get elbow punched.
Slap, slap, slippity slap, slap, slap.
Oh, James, take your hand and do like this.
And then just run into your fan.
Oh, you got some experience in that, huh?
You talking mess on mute.
Nelly, I'm shocked that I have more never evers than you. How do I have more never evers than you? And you were in the service.
Say it again. Oh, you speak to
I
me?
have more never evers than you, and you were in the service.
Because Stanley ain't played that. Don't look at him.
Some things I just didn't do. There were how would I say that? A lot of them happen, but then being in the service, some things can't happen. It would happen behind. It may be said, but it's not said to you. Because there is the UCMJ. And when you know the UCMJ, if anything happens, you can bring charges or you can file a complaint. And it has to be, if you know the right channels, how to follow it up. I knew how to follow up.
Yeah, I think if I had went to a HBC, my experiences would have been 100% different.
Oh, yeah.
Blame grandma. Here you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna share no experiences. I put my finger. I was the only one who had 10 fingers down each time, and I'm like, damn. A couple of times I didn't put my finger down because I'm like, oh well, that was.
Yes, she did have all 10.
many years ago. Does that even count?
Men didn't have that many, and I was like, "Oh, go you!" And then I was like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute! I didn't leave the house, and I still had more things than her."
Wow.
But
Okay. Yeah.
appreciate. So I have a separate video discussing what is an ally,
Mhm.
because in the booktube portion of YouTube, there are booktubers who are trying to figure out what they can do to use their white privilege to help others educate themselves.
Okay.
And there are silent supporters within the community that do not donate, they do not sign petitions, but they support from a distance.
Okay. What does that look like?
Like this.
Oh, so the fact that they're negative, that means they're positive and therefore they're supporting? Is that how that works?
The tree falls in the forest. Does it make a sound?
So it's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay.
instead of saying nothing, people are asking, what is an ally exactly?
Okay. That's a fair question. What does that look like? What does it feel like?
Yes. What does that feel like, Mom, since you had like the 20 fingers down?
An ally?
I just saw the cat and I'm like, what is that?
That was a meerkat.
What's an ally like? Give me a situation.
What you doing?
Oh, okay. You're walking home from the grocery store and you and your child get tear gassed point blank range. What would an ally in that vicinity do for you? Other than pour milk on your child, obviously.
You pour 2 things of milk on your child instead of 1.
Oh.
It's a good question, because I don't know if that's just a because I think there are people that would not be your ally that would still try to soothe that particular type of situation, especially if a child is involved. Sometimes, most of the time, people are really more tolerant to little children. I think when you become 10 or more or older, you don't count anymore. But little children, you get allies, people, that's not fair to put a kid in there. You put a kid in there, that kind of changes the equation. I would hope that it changes the equation.
You guys remember the stampede at the Martin Luther King parade where Mama got all this strength and lifted a stroller out of the way and found the mother
I
because
remember.
was involved. So I think it's kind of like that. Like you take a child and you look at a situation and say, well, I don't care what's going on. Children don't need to be involved in a situation like that. So let me keep them safe.
Text you.
Now,
An ally is that person that once something goes down, they're in the fight with you. And though we don't glorify gang, like those are allies. I mean, to make it simple, there are people that will be there for you when it gets tough. Now, there's somebody that, an example, if I'm going down, someone is willing to stand by you, stand beside you, and not right or wrong when you're right. That's an ally, someone you can depend on to truthfully be with you.
agreed. I have another question scenario kind of thing. So there has been many ethnicity booktubers like Philippines, Indian, Caucasian, British, whatever. They've been messaging a lot of Black creators for lists of books to read, and a lot of Black creators are tired of recommending books, but these people did not know how bad the police brutality was. Should they still get the recommendation and still get that piece of knowledge, or should they look it up themselves and figure it out on their own?
Oh, absolutely not. I think if somebody is trying to get educated and in fact they ask, That's a plus. To just go out there willy-nilly might not be the smartest thing to do. But if they ask someone that they think would lead them in the right direction, then definitely you should take the time and help them out. Absolutely. I would prefer to be asked and be annoyed with you asking over and over than for you to go out there and get some bad information. And there's a lot of bad information because people are angry. And when people write stuff, they write stuff and they don't research it, or they don't look at the history of it, or they don't even know where it came from, like taking a knee. No one knows where that came from. They just decided it was disrespectful, and it's not. But who looked up the history on it? Who looked up, where did it start? Where did this even come from? Nobody. Somebody put some crap out there and everybody went with it instead of looking it up for themselves. So if you ask me to look up some good writers or some good objective, Black, proactivist, I would go out of my way to find them. Yeah. That's my answer, and I'm sticking with it. Stanley?
Solid answer. Because I gave a list out last year, and she read Toni Morrison.
You muted. Okay.
So I recommended Toni Morrison, Langston Hughes, many artists from the Harlem Renaissance. And she messaged me like a few days later saying it was too sad. I returned all the books. I refuse to do this.
That's fair. It is sad. It's a sad life when you're on the outside looking in it. When you're in it, you don't know any different. It's our life. But when I think that, oh, this is all off track. Let me be quiet. You don't know what you don't know. You know, I look at this now, and now I think that's why a lot of people were upset with psychologists and and counselors when they started coming in the inner cities. They're telling these kids, "Oh, your life is sad, this, that, and the other." They didn't know it. Instead of just saying, "This is what you have, and this is what you work with. This is not the way life is for everybody." Well, no, it's not. But if you can't get this kid out of the situation, you're supposed to give them positive energy to get through it and get out of it, instead of making them realize. And then they're all depressed. Now we got a school full of depressed kids who didn't even know they were depressed before because they didn't know any different. So that's kind of, that's a fence. And when you climb that fence, you better be ready to really have a solution. When you start making people aware of certain things instead of empowering them with the situation that they have. There's a little bit of a difference. I don't know if I explained it right, but there's a little bit of a difference.
Yara, I didn't come up with that police talks video on my own. My mom sent it to me to send it out to the world. And when I talked to the boys, mind blown. Roman was like, "What?"
Aww.
He's a little sassy. He was like, that's not true.
Oh, so Sam, what she's talking about is that the way we raise our kids, so that they know how to encounter and how to behave when a police officer comes around. That we actually have to teach that.
It's mandatory.
So I'll send you that video so you can see it.
I sent it to her. I sent it to so many people in my contact.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, and yeah, it's mandatory.
I never realized that
conversation
wasn't common until I went to Fauché Middle School, and they were talking about the talk and hygiene, and I'm like, no, the talk is, and Miss Taylor, I was like, I know what the talk is when you get pulled over by a police officer, and she was like, no, just put your hand down. Because Miss Taylor, backstory, has taught each one of my sisters. And none of us are alike. And she was not expecting who we were.
Her mind intensely.
We call it the talk now, but it was just, I remember coming up, it was just a way of life. It was common instructions. It was just part of coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a separate thing we did. That was part of your everyday getting by. And I don't think it was anything different or anything special. It was like going to school. That was part. It was really part of your school training, your curriculum. So I put it that way. It wasn't the talk. It was curriculum.
And that's why we didn't know any difference, because we thought everybody was having the talk. And that's why when you come in and start making people aware without a solution, it blows up their lives.
In our school, Sierra, I don't know, you were there, like our elementary and middle school would have cops.
We can't hear you through your speaker.
It's bad.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to mute when I talk.
I could do that.
Yeah, just your computer volume. There it is. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sarah, do you remember our schools? I don't know if for you it was the same, but we had like DARE officers and stuff come in and speak to us on how to deal with and address police, and like for the whole class, and they did it several times. I know not all schools do that, bring in officers. And
I
have
do
that.
remember DARE, and that was more geared towards drugs.
Yeah.
Which was fun, yeah. But yeah.
'Cause we had Officer Watkins or whatever it was in Safaro.
Officer Wasis, yeah,
Wasis,
he was cool.
yeah.
He was cool. He was cool.
So
Sure.
yeah, because we had a lot of bad kids. It was like, this is how we want to deal with, police.
Right on.
Yeah.
I if I'm being completely honest, I only half-assed listened to that.
Me
So if I'm being completely honest.
I mean, mostly everyone did. Probably the only kids who were listening, they had their hands folded and maybe some glasses. I don't know. I'm stereotyping.
I remember thinking, my mom taught me about this shit, and I know my dad smokes, so I'm going to sit here and keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just going to sit here and nod like, okay. That's what I remember from that one.
Yeah, they still have DARE in the schools. That's a huge.
Yeah, down here they do.
Yeah.
I bet it's tricky now because, with the marijuana legalization, it's like you can't warn them about that exactly without too much, my parent does that and I smell that in my house. And
all the time.
Oh my God, it's probably so common now.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
For sure. Everywhere almost. Probably just in the states that it's not legalized.
Isn't it legal in California?
I can't hear you, Deanna.
Oh, I'm not talking that loud.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember I remember a DARE officer on TV, but
No, we had it after. We had it after.
I'm trying to remember when DARE started, because it starts in elementary school and it's a little bit of a curriculum. The sheriff department comes in and they have these little booklets and they talk about this. They have these assemblies. They talk about that and this, that, and the other.
I think my class missed that because they were so busy focusing on learning. They were like, if you're doing this, how? You're in school from 7 to 6, when, where?
Can you come closer to your mic?
Yeah, I don't even know where my mic is. So.
No.
Good luck.
Turn your volume up or something.
The only officers I remember are the ones that were in our neighborhood, and there was one white cop, and there was 2 black Officer Brown, and then there's another one that Stephanie remembers. Officer Brown was that they called him Officer Butterball.
Was he chubby?
He was looking back, he was just a really big guy.
Okay.
Huge. And the other officer was really, he was awful. He was the officer that handcuffed me because I was walking home. He was like, "You just look so bad." And just I got 3 more bucks. I got 3.
Damn.
Yeah, and he followed me all the way, and then I got chased by a dog, and he just watched. That's when I cracked my ankle, and he was like, and then the next time I saw him, he had me on the corner of 92nd, just sitting there handcuffed until Officer Brown. So I was like, I don't have to talk to you. I know my rights a little bit. I don't want another officer here present.
Oh, damn.
Messed up.
He was
Not cool.
yeah, he was.
I only had 2 interactions with officers that I can remember outside of certain things. And the first time was when we got put in handcuffs
You
after
saw us lean forward.
we had no shoes on and we're out. Well, Ivy had no shoes on and we're handcuffed while all these cars are driving past. And we didn't feel threat. I don't know if we felt threatened or not, but since the officers were actually decent to us, we kind of took advantage of that and we're eating Skittles and just waiting on another ride to come and get us or waiting for them to decide to leave. That was my memorable incident. And then the second one, I wasn't in handcuffs at all. And when I heard the radio dispatch saying that they were looking for somebody, I said, don't you guys have other things to do because you're not looking for us? And they just told me to be quiet. And I just said, well, when are you letting us go? So that interaction was a little different from interactions that I know a lot of other people had. And I know that if their mindset was different, that could have went down a lot differently. So my interactions with officers haven't been as bad as a lot of other people. So I'm grateful for that.
What about the time when Rachel was in the car with you guys?
No, that was with us.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
No,
Because
that
they could have talked my way out of a few things.
they made us all get out the car. They took her to the back and they asked her to say all of our names, asked us if we all had the same dad, asked us where did we live, and if she was in danger, if she felt threatened. And Stephanie was like, she's more of a threat than we are. Like,
What would it matter if you had the same dad or not?
That's the weirdest question of all.
That
those
is
questions.
so irrelevant.
that's a common question. Like, you know, are they in gangs? Like, and Rachel is such a smarty that we would be there longer because she was just like, I don't
Fuck you.
For the people listening, Rachel's white.
I probably would have been that bitch too. Like, fuck you. That is not relevant. Why are you even asking that question right now?
Yeah, honestly.
Eat my ass. Like, no.
Right. Yeah, for real.
God.
I had that situation quite a bit in high school. A lot in high school because I went to an all-girls white high school. So anytime they were with us, we were being pulled over and taken out of the car to make sure we weren't kidnapped, which is weird because they were driving. They were the ones that had cars. So I'm not really sure how that looked, but you know, you have a whole bunch of black girls in the car with you. So that would happen a lot. And don't let them drive down to the neighborhood to hang out with you.
Take that back. I got pulled over with Keisha, and I think I got pulled over because I was with Keisha. That's the only reason. She looks suspicious. She does.
Damn.
Is that your friend?
No. Well.
Yeah. I literally sat with my hands on my lap and I did not move. And I reached down to get a brownie for some odd reason. I was a little hungry. And they said, don't move. And that was actually the first time I've ever experienced like officers getting ready to actually maybe pull out a taser or a gun or something because the way she moved was really fast. So I just turned into a statue. I think that was like the only time where my experience was probably a little scary, but I was a little hungover, so I wasn't as scared as I should have been.
You understand?
Reaction time was a little slow.
When Deanna and Ivy were coming up, I think I told them 10 and 2. But then when Mahalia and Stephanie came, it was hands in sight. It changed. Yeah.
Yeah, we were told to take our keys out the ignition, hold out our license, registration, and keys out the window. Just keep our stuff, just keep it all hanging out the window. So they can come up, grab your license, registration, and insurance while you show that you're not like trying to turn like your keys on or have your keys on your dashboard. So you're not trying to drive away.
Oh, that's too much moving.
I know.
I mean, it takes them a good 5 minutes to run plates and all that before they come up to the window, so that like you have time
to reach over to get your registration out of your glove box. That's a no-no. You don't want your body moving at all over here. You just do 10 and 2, but now we don't do 10 and 2. You have to do your hands straight up. No sudden movements. Nothing that looks like. I don't know.
They told us they would take like at least 3 to 5 minutes for them to run plates and go through to see your name and everything like that before they actually come to the window. That's what they told us. Like, as soon as you put it in park, turn your keys off. You can put the keys on the dash, and then grab your license, registration, or your registration, your insurance, and then your license. Have your window all the way down. Hold everything out so when the officer walks up, he can just grab it and then, you know, tell you why he pulled you over. Ask you, do you know why I pulled you over? Speeding.
I got pulled over. They didn't ask me that. They were like, "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" When I went to Lord's, they're like, I'm like, that's my dorm room right there, right there. I'm like a block away, and they called like 4 other cop cars, and I was like, really? We go to school with nuns. What is this? And I was in the back just holding teddy bear. She was like, not again. Like just tired.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but those nuns are pretty deadly. They're pretty active.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're pretty active, those nuns. Don't let that habit fool you. They can teach you some stuff.
I don't doubt it.
You know,
They weren't always
it's all of those little things that you all have mentioned that bring us to where we are today, because all of those little things are the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really, I know for me, it was just the norm, and you don't know that that it could be anything different until you are no longer, well, for me, until I went to Germany, out of all places. Out of all places in the land of Nazis is where I felt the coat come off, the cover come off of me. And it wasn't until I came back to the States that I realized that oppression actually could be felt. And I mean, it was a heaviness that I did not know until I got back. Over there, we just went about life in a normal way. Didn't think about anything. But when I returned back to the States, I realized that coming here meant that I received that coat, a blanket that was thrown over me that felt oppressive, that I did not feel in Germany. And that was the first time for me that I fully understood. I understood all of the other things, but they were normal. That was the normal way of life. So it was no big deal. You just learn to deal with it and move on. But then when it comes off of you, that's when it makes a difference.
Yeah. But you know.
When I went to school in Ohio, I would drive in the summer every weekend before I met James to my cousin's house in Indiana. And I don't stop when I drive. There are no you don't have to do all that together. No. I put Tiana out of the car once. But this so happened, I ended up leaving later than I planned. It was getting dark. And my cousin Lynn made it very clear not to stop in the dark. Always pull over into a truck stop, well lit. So I had a state trooper follow me all the way to the truck stop. And I pulled in, got gas, and I was like, well, I don't have no money. I started calling my mom and had the phone up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to jail. It's going to be ridiculous. But he ended up telling me to be careful because they're active KKK. And he wanted to make sure I did not stop. And I was like, oh, you just scared the life out of me. And so you're just trying to help.
In a good way.
Right.
I was
Thank goodness.
so stressed the entire time. I was like, I was like, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. It's too dark.
No.
Mama,
Yeah.
you just listening? You got something to say?
No, not that you something I learned about my kids. I didn't know all that was going on with you when you were in high school. I am getting a lesson today.
You must have got, you remember when Judy came over?
Yeah, but that was when she came to your house. I didn't realize that there were other times too.
Yeah, when Judy came, she was a friend of mine from school. She came to my house and they knocked on the door because they wanted to know what she was doing in our neighborhood. And you talked to the police then, huh?
I was had to, yes.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
We weren't even in the car with her this time.
That's what happened with Chinwei. Her parents called.
It's crazy. Yeah, we've had some experiences, had some runs.
True you.
Chinwei, True. Yeah.
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 All right. Hey, guys, my mom has called me 3 times and I've ignored her. She's got my children, so I really should probably answer it.
That's
I'm
why
so
it's
sorry.
quiet. Okay, I was like, dude, I don't hear nobody.
Bye-bye.
I'm so sorry.
No,
We'll forgive you this one time.
I
Kim.
love you so much, guys.
Love you too, Kim.
Enjoy. It's
Anytime.
good to see you.
I would love to do this again sometime. Just let me know. Anytime.
You might be invited.
I'm not
Fuck
editing.
you, James.
Well, whatever type of YouTube things you do, Mahalia, I will definitely be supportive of it.
Absolutely. I love you guys. I'll talk to you
Love you
soon.
too, Kimbo. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love her. She's so supportive.
Oh, yeah, she's a good kid.
You get on every ounce of her nerves.
Can't help.
Okay, well,
Where'd
Stanley,
Ivy go?
thank you so much.
I don't
Stay in
know.
the main.
Say that again.
Thank you.